All right, now we are going to go to local headlines now, and we, of course, have been reporting some very serious situations out on our island's waves as hazardous surf and sea conditions have been facing our island community for the last week, and of course, they will persist through the foreseeable future. Recently, we've had incidents of drownings. Our community, of course, grieves for those that we have lost, and here to offer some water safety tips are two members of the Guam Fire Department. Of course, we have Captain Brandon Sanner. Hafaday.
Hafaday, Jace. Hafaday, Guam.
All right, and Nick Garrido, of course, the spokesperson. We deal with Nick a lot of times now. Gentlemen, I know, of course, we respect and we have so much reverence for the job GFD does, and a lot of people, civilians like me, would say they always think of GFD as, okay, there's a grass fire, something's happening in the jungle, but search and rescue is something that you do, and you do very, very well too, and that also extends to out on the water.
Yeah, absolutely, Jay. So Guam Fire Department provides 3 search and rescue units for the community. We have a inland search and rescue unit up in GARRIDO. We also have 2 water-based units, one at the Hagåtña Marina in Neganya, and then one down in the Aga Marina. However, all 3 units are capable of doing every aspect of firefighting and search and rescue for the Guam Fire Department in Guam.
Yeah, and Nick, this is something that your agency also does in coordination with our friends in the Navy and also with the Guam Police Department.
So I just wanted to kind of touch bases on that too, right, with our partnership. So we partner with HSC-25, the Navy HSC-25, the United States Coast Guard, Guam Police Department, their Marine Patrol. And then we also deal with National Weather Service with their advisories, along with Guam Homeland Security and Office of Civil Defense.
And that kind of shines light on the fact that this is a very real problem, and the amount of which can be very, very daunting. It's obviously too much for just one agency.
Yeah, so that's why we're very fortunate and grateful for the partnerships that we have established. Being especially here on island, surrounded by our waters, this is obviously concerning and alarming for when we have incidences like this.
Right.
So the good thing is that we've established a rapport amongst our military partners and our local partners that have also helped us become a better. We're stronger in numbers and better as a bigger team.
Well, I love how you bring up the numbers because Joe, sir, in the back, if you would, please, we've got some stats that I kind of want to go over too. Really drive home the fact that that this is something that affects our island community. And
yes, so just to touch bases, so in 2021 we had 7 near drownings and 3 were confirmed drownings. In 2022 we had 6 near drownings and 10 drownings. That was a significant change from 21 to 22. Those numbers. Obviously, they're very unfortunate situations, but by promoting this type of public education and coming on a show like this with you, our goal is to reach the community and reach the public out there, so that way they're aware. I also, if you don't mind, Jay, if I can go ahead and just kind of speak on the social media perspective of things. So we ask the community to follow the Guam Fire Department's social media, Instagram and Facebook page, as well as, don't mind me as I read this because I don't want to miss anything, but also the NWS website, which is weather.gov/GUM, the National Weather Service Facebook as well, facebook.com/NWS Guam. Also our Guam Homeland Security and Office of Civil Defense website, Facebook and Instagram. Like we mentioned in the past, and it's something I want to make sure we touch bases, GFD in partnership with the National Weather Service, the Guam Homeland Security and Office of Civil Defense, Guam Police Department, United States Coast Guard, and HSC-25, we advise the community to remain vigilant while conducting water recreational activities. We ask to please adhere to the advisories that we set out, which I post daily. Once I get anything from NWS, I post it out. Jenna at Guam Homeland is very good with that too as well.
Oh, she's the best.
She's constantly putting out, we're tagging each other, both agencies, and we're pushing out that information. And one thing we want to make sure we emphasize is, though the Guam Fire Department and our other partners, though we are ready to respond at a moment's notice and well trained and definitely well prepared, our rescuers are also faced with the same challenges that the waters present. So we're humans, we're human beings, and we also have though we were trained, Mother Nature, we are not basically superheroes.
And no offense to either of you gentlemen and everybody in the agency that goes through training, but I mean, you guys are really, really good. You're not that good.
We're trained, we're prepared, but when the waters are in the surface high, we're faced with the same challenges like any other any other boater
Right.
or.
Yeah.
So let's touch on that, Cap, because I know, you know, especially for those of us who, you know, we grow up on Guam and we love the island way of life. You know, when you see like and you can see right there, when the waves get a little bit high, everybody's like, oh, it'd be fun to, you know, bring out the surfboard, the boogie board, and everything like that. But people don't realize that there is the counter to that is there's very dangerous rip current.
So on top of that, I think another thing to mention, I mean, that's absolutely right, but it is understanding that Guam's waters are not the exact same waters as anywhere else in the world. Consider that we have a reef line protecting us, so the waves that we generate here during big water seasons are often heavier, deeper, and pose significant risk because of the shallow waters that they crash on. So I'm not saying that waters elsewhere in the world are not dangerous at all, but some of these sand breaks that some of our visitors are used to are very different from what we have here. You know, you don't have dangerous rip currents in certain areas that they visit frequently, and coral reefs, bomb holes that can keep you under. And then what I wanted to add, I guess I wanted to caveat real quick before we move forward on the statistics. So yes, 2021, it seems like a low number, but also consider that we were in a pandemic at that time with no visitors. And now that
one is too many, certainly.
Exactly, one is too many. But now that we're expecting more visitors as we reopen our island to tourism, we can expect those numbers to go up. Now, how do we help prevent that? And I think that this is the media in which to do it, which is to go to public service announcements and warnings. And so I think we need to get our tourism industry involved in providing our visitors some tips. I mean, we're not discouraging water recreation activities.
Sure.
What we want to do is we want to do it responsibly.
And
so
public education.
Yeah, public education
so,
for sure.
So real quick, Nick, for you know, because if people are out on the water already, right? I mean, it's one thing to say like, you know, you're home on the computer planning out your day and like, oh, you know, it doesn't look so good. If you're out on the water, what can you kind of like gauge from the way, you know, from Mother Nature's responding to say like, you know, things don't feel right, I should probably get out of here real quick?
You know, one of the common things, right, is if you don't see too many people in the water on a weekend,
good point,
then it's kind of telling you something, right? I met up with some military people over the you know, our military families over this past Christmas, and that was one thing they mentioned. You know, they were talking about the water and stuff, and I mentioned, I was like, they're like, they specifically said, they said, if we don't see the locals in there, we're not going. So that saying there was, you know, I was like, wow, so that means that they're getting some type of education, you know, on our waters and stuff like that, because it does mean something.
And that's good for us as ambassadors, like you said, you know, for tourism and everything. We have to be stewards of our community to pass that on to visitors and military.
Too, you know, when you bring up about what are signs like weather, definitely weather. If you were at Tumon Bay and you're right by the shore, and you feel the current pulling you, it's gonna kind of tell you something too. You know, like, hey, I was just sitting over there in front of my tent, but now I'm over here quite a ways. So it kind of tells you that time within a matter of 5 minutes, or what you thought was 5 minutes was possibly even 2 or 3, was what actually carries you a significant distance.
So maybe on those days, you know, you just want to go, you can kick back on the beach.
Correct.
And we have some warnings. I mean, I could cover some of the warnings, like first and foremost, you know, like Nick mentioned earlier, is please take heed of the advisories that are out there. Currently, we have 3 advisories ongoing at the moment, which is our high surf advisory, our small surf advisory, and then our rip currents. And those 3 advisories are detrimental to any water recreation, but they're also hazardous and for any activity, whether you're boating, whether you're fishing, it does not matter. And we're not saying don't. A lot of our boaters, a lot of our tourist industry, or our providers, our service members there, they know what conditions are safe for their people. So we just kind of, I guess what we're trying to lead to is take heed of the advisories. If the advisories are out there, probably reconsider the timing. Understand that our big water season runs from the holidays throughout spring.
Right.
So we can expect these conditions all the way throughout February, and then we will re-experience those situations later on in the year. I mean, if you're gonna be around the water, have personal protective equipment, emergency equipment, have a life vest available, you know, things like that if you're going to be in those activities.
Okay, and now real quick, because Santa Rita Pete's telling me I only got like 30 seconds, but for people that are, you know, they may not be out in the water, they may be like at home. What can we do if, you know, they say, like, if somebody sees someone that may be in distress, or they say, you know, I know my Nino went out fishing, he hasn't checked in, it's been like 2 hours and everything. Where can we call, or where should we go?
911. 911 is the best number for anything. And then also what we want to know is we want to know the last location. We want to know the description of the clothing, the capabilities of that family member. But At the same time, you know, if you are going to get in the water, bring some type of contact device, a phone or a signaling device. Be in bright clothing. You know, all those things. Bring mask, snorkel, because if you get into trouble, all of those things will help. And the number one is, if you see whitewash, stay away. If you see white cap, stay away. You know what I mean? If you see the surf, if the water is light in color around the reef, stay away. That's all the rip currents and stuff.
All right, gentlemen. Well, we appreciate the job that both of you and everybody in GFD does to keep us safe, and all the teams that you work with.
Thank you, Jay.
All right, thank you guys. Happy New Year.
Take care. Happy New Year.
All right, stay tuned. There is much more coming up after this.